How's it going, Rangers and overall hockey fans? Thank you guys so much for chiming in for the latest episode of Rangers Review. This is the coveted episode 69, so this is sure to be a blast to say the least. Myself, Tyler, you guys know me as Wardy NYM on Twitter or, of course, on YouTube, covering the New York Mets as my main thing. Of course, being a diehard Rangers fan, along with my beloved co-host, that being a stat boy, Steven, the biggest stat boy guru that you'll find out there, covering all the nitty gritty about the New York Rangers in season, off season, all on social media. So we got a lot to get into on the Rangers. We haven't been able to talk in a couple weeks, and since then, the Rangers have now been on a 4-game winning streak over the past 4 games. So that's great to see. So we're going to be giving our quick recaps and raw reactions to the past 4 games of the Rangers, games 27-30, along with what exactly has Gerard Gallant done different since the really mediocre start to the regular season. It's kind of funny, Steven. I talked about in our last episode how the Knicks and the Rangers are just the definition of mid, and now them both are on winning streaks. So it's like they're thriving together. It's bizarre how similar of seasons both these teams are having for the same teams that play, of course, in Madison Square Garden. But more than anything, how are you doing? How are you doing today, my friend?
Doing all right. It's we're getting close to the holidays now. Christmas and New Year's is around the corner. It's I was in Vienna last week. Just decided to visit my old hometown where I lived for 4 years. Saw some Christmas markets, had some glühwein, so it was fun. Now back to the usual. Back to work, watching the Rangers, getting frustrated, but as you said, the last couple of games, the Rangers seem to have found something. And it started kind of late in that game against the Blues on December 5th, which
Yeah, let's get into that game with the Blues.
Yeah, I joked about it on Twitter that it was like a Sinterklaas gift. It's like the Dutch version of Santa Claus. They celebrated on December 5th.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, in that game, the Rangers take an early lead with Fox and Schneider scoring in the first period and Buchnevich for the Blues. But after the second period, I'm not going to go through all the goals, but after the second period, they're down 4-3. So they go into the third period, and with like 2 or 3 minutes to go in the third period, Gerard Gallant decided to switch it up because that's what he does. The guy should be making milkshakes. But he switched it up in the way that I wanted it to see. I wanted to see Lafreniere and Kakko with Zibanejad, and that's what he did. And in the third period, Lafreniere with a goal and an assist, Zibanejad with an assist. The Rangers score 3 times, and they win that game 6-4 in regulation. And that was I think that was the first game this season where the Rangers go into the third being down and actually winning it. So really good job by the Rangers to pull that out of the fire. But what really stands out to me is that they finished that game with Lafreniere and Kakko on the top line with Zibanejad. And we saw that for a couple of games after that. The game against Vegas, Kakko scored the only goal for the Rangers, his 5th of the season. So it seems like they had something there. The Rangers win. He scored the first goal for the Rangers, of course. Rangers win that game 5-1. Zibanejad with, I think, 2 goals and an assist. And Lafreniere with a goal as well. So that line with Kakko, Lafreniere, and Zibanejad, all 3 got a goal. So that was really fun to watch to finally see those first and second overall picks get some game time with a player that they should be playing with.
Yeah, it was third period domination in that game in Vegas. Gerard Gallant returning to Vegas once again, and Meek on the power play, Hedl with a goal, who, of course, is a big talk of the town after what he did last night against New Jersey. That will be getting into Alexi Lafreniere with a goal, and both of Mika's goals are power play goals, as a matter of fact, in that game. So that was great to see. I mean, yes, we know that Mika has been known for being not a complete power play merchant, but you know what to expect with him, especially in that left dot, because it always holds true. He's our Alexander Ovechkin in that sense. He really is.
And let's also talk about the other line in the top 6. Panarin with Hedl and Gaudreau. Now, look, Gaudreau on the second line is not terrible. You could do a lot worse. But I'd like to see someone with a little bit more upside in that position. But for now, having Panarin with Hedl, that seems to be a stroke of genius. That third line with Kreider and Trocheck seems to be doing really well.
Yeah. It
playing
just
against.
makes the team look so much deeper. And this is something that you've been
Yeah,
crying for it feels like a while. Like you're like,
yeah,
put Kreider on the third line. Remember
yeah.
last season we were saying the same exact thing earlier in the year, I should say, because there weren't many stretches of Kreider where it's like, no, you can't demote him. You know what I mean? Because when you have an Adam Graves 50+ goal season, it's a hard argument to make, but it's definitely something that I know you especially have harped on many times over the past couple seasons, and now we're
And
finally starting to see it.
look, it's not like it's really such a foreign concept. The
Yeah,
Penguins, I brought this up multiple times. The Penguins
many
won two
times.
cups with Kessel on their third line.
Yep.
They could have put Kessel with Crosby or with Malkin, but no, they had a third line of Kessel, Bonino, and Hagelin, the HBK line, and they won two cups that way. If the Rangers can find similar chemistry with Kreider and now Trocheck and whoever the third player on that third line will be, if that can actually work long term, you create so much more depth and so much more balance in your team, as you say. Um, I was just happy to see Kako and Lafreniere getting an extended look with Zibanejad for once.
Yeah. No, as was I, for sure.
Yeah.
Um,
And then they go to Colorado.
yeah.
Kind of more Colorado Eagles team than a Colorado Avalanche team because they were missing, I think, 9 starting players.
Yes. And of course, in typical Rangers fashion, it was a nail biter all the way till the end.
They need a shootout to win, but they win the shootout 2-0. So Shesterkin gets some revenge on Georgiev for that loss earlier at the
Yeah, and
Garden.
Georgie had a phenomenal game too. Have to give him credit. I mean, you'd have to imagine. Of course, he has a chip on his shoulder when he's playing this Ranger team, and he's
Yeah,
proven it in these
but
little stints.
also we saw this last season when Shesterkin went down with injury against the Sharks at home, and Georgiev played like a longer stretch. You could see that his performance went up.
Yeah.
Georgiev was always the type of goalie that plays better when he has more rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
And now in Colorado, he gets that rhythm. He's their starting goalie, so it works for them. And then the fourth game where we finally get our first 4-game winning streak of the season was last night. Now, I was very happy with the first line of Lafreniere, Zibanejad, Kako, but unfortunately that lasted about 5 minutes in this game because the Rangers conceded 2 early goals, and Gallant does what Gallant does. He cannot help himself, so he decided to put his playlist on shuffle, and he moved Hedl. He swapped Hedl and Zibanejad. So it was Panarin, Zibanejad, Goudreau, and then the kit line back together.
I would like to make a note, though, not to cut you off, Steven. I just want to say when I saw it was an early lead for the Devils in this one, 2-0, I'm like, you know what? Maybe this is exactly what this Ranger team needs after having a 2-0 lead against New Jersey last time around. Because we all know the Rangers fell apart. And thankfully for the Rangers' sake, this was the exact type of momentum that they actually needed.
Yeah, and then in the third period, they concede a goal. I think it was Jack Hughes.
Yep, Jack Hughes, always going to score against these Rangers. That's for sure.
And then I think he got a penalty shot after that.
And yes, he did. And Igor Shesterkin got the stick out and made a phenomenal stop. That's probably the game saver right there. If Jack Hughes scores that goal, I don't see the Rangers winning this one.
I looked at that in the replay. I don't think Shesterkin hit the puck at all. He just hit Hughes with a stick.
He just poked out and tripped him up. Yep.
Still worked. But then late in the second period, a little later in the second period, Trocheck scores on the power play.
Mm-hmm.
And then 7 seconds later, Kako ties it. So
beautiful.
Two goals in 7 seconds. Now, that took me some time to look up this morning, of course. It's the 7th fastest 2-goal sequence by the Rangers. They scored 2 goals in 4 seconds once back in 2014 against the San Jose Sharks, Martin St. Louis and Rick Nash.
Wow.
And then most recently in 2020 was 6 seconds between 2 goals for Zibanejad and Kreider when they played the Toronto Maple Leafs in February of 2020. But yeah, 7 seconds between 2 goals. That you don't see that very often.
No, you do not.
And looking through these numbers, I mean, there's games in here from like 1936, 1944, 1946, where they scored twice in 5 seconds, twice in 7 seconds. Names like Neil Colville show up. Eb DeMarco Sr., Tony Leswick, people that our grandparents probably don't even know. But it was fun to look up. But the Rangers scored twice, take it to overtime, and then Hedel scores in overtime to
Oh,
give us
what
the
a
win.
shot, too. Gets the drop back pass to the right side and gets it posted in from the far side on Vanacek.
Yeah,
Phenomenal work there by Hedel. That was a beautiful shot.
yeah. So yeah, Rangers with a 4-game winning streak for the first time this season, and they needed it. They needed that winning streak for once.
Yeah, they did.
The funniest thing was the celebration after the Kakko goal. Did you see what happened there?
Specifically, no. What
Oh,
transpired?
well, first of all, it was a very fun. It was basically a rebuild goal because the 5 players on the ice were Hedel, Kakko, Miller, Lafreniere, and Schneider, all first round picks by the Rangers since 2017. Yeah. So
is that nuts when you think about it? You have a whole wave of first round picks on the ice at the same time. It is kind of bizarre when you think about it.
All 5 of those players are your own first round picks, and the oldest one is Filip Hedel at age 23.
Yeah,
that is amazing. But yeah, they were celebrating in the corner, and they were like falling over each other. It's like they were playing Twister or something. But you know, it was a fun sequence. Seeing Kakko score that goal, you know, really happy for him. And honestly, since Gerard Gallant made that change, putting Lafreniere and Kakko as a Zibanejad, even though he changed it up again last night, their 5-on-5 point production has gone up significantly. So hopefully we can stick with this. And hopefully we can see more of this, because if there's one thing Kakko and Lafreniere need, it's some stability at even strength.
Absolutely. And that's something that I know that we've harped on for a while, because at the end of the day, we know how talented these two, top former picks are. And it would be a damn shame if the Rangers end up not doing enough with them, not giving them the proper opportunities they deserve. And I understand, again, we've always had these discussions on how it's a little bit different for a Rangers team that always has high pressure, high stakes, especially in a big market. They're expected to win as soon as they basically have a somewhat capable roster. Like, there's always high expectations with a team like this. But you also make the fair argument, again, that you need to give these kids not only time, but especially a leash. And look, we saw Alexis Lafreniere have a 20-goal season in this past season, right? Now he's on pace as of now for 40 points in 80 games. Kaapo Kakko, a little less because he has 10 points through 30 thus far. But you got to hope that these kids continue to get more playing time, because they have not been a detriment to the lack of success the Rangers have had throughout what has rather been a mediocre first quarter of the season up until this latest winning streak that is now a season high at 4 games. So you got to hope that for them and for Gallant, that he doesn't just say, okay, we're going to stick with the Kettle line once again, because if it wasn't for me mixing things around, we wouldn't have won that game against the Devils. Whether that's true or not, it shouldn't change the fact that you should still go back to how you were orchestrating things. I really did like seeing Kakko and Lafreniere paired with Zibanejad, or at least in that top 6 in general, because unfortunately, if this was a situation for not only Gallant, but for others, where you're on the third line, but you're getting the same amount of ice time and you're getting a fairly equal amount of power play time as well. If that was the case, then I wouldn't really care nearly as much about what exact line they're on, because as long as they're given more playing time, then the opportunities will naturally come with it. But we have naturally seen that, again, guys out of the top 6 are just not getting the ice time that you would hope to see. Even Kreider's ice time was cut back a little bit up until the changes that we've seen recently, because when you're on the third line, you're just not getting as many opportunities aside from power play, which Kreider will always be in the forefront of. So I got to ask you, though, Steven, with the Rangers on this 4-game winning streak, how much do you credit Gerard Gallant in this instance for, again, a guy that we have all been critical on heavily to start the year? And do you think that the Rangers are going to finally start to turn the tide from a consistency level here for the remainder of the season? Or do we just find ourselves in a nice little flame and then they're going to go back to mediocrity for another couple weeks? Like, give me your overall outlook on the Rangers right now and their future over the next month or so.
Yeah, look, can we praise Gallant for what he did now, putting those lines together? Look, it was so obvious, and it took him this long. It's kind of like when you're in a house and there's like this beep coming from somewhere and you don't know where it is. So you start,
That's the worst when you have a beep going on.
yeah.
Oh,
So you start cutting like punching holes in the wall to find it, and after the 177th hole, you finally find what's making the beeping noise, and then you pat yourself on the back for finding it. That's what it feels with Gallant and these line combinations. It was only a week, it was only 2 weeks ago that we were watching VZ in the top six.
yeah.
VZ, who, with all due respect for VZ, he came here on a tryout. That guy is a very solid fourth liner. If you use him the right way, he should not be in the top six. I'm happy that Gallant finally found the right combination. Let's just hope he is smart enough to stick with it, even when the Rangers are down a goal. Like, the Rangers pull a win out of the fire against the Devils after they changed it up. That doesn't mean that they should stick with the changes for the next game. Like you said, you should go back to how you started the last game. If you have a bad start, that shouldn't change your whole strategy for the rest of the season. And
Yeah.
with Gallant, it feels like that's the case.
That's fair. Yeah, I tend to agree with you on that viewpoint. That analogy especially was great. But when evaluating the Rangers and seeing them get this winning streak, some things have definitely stood out. Not only the line changes up until the most recent game last night, where Gallant mixed things up again, but I think more than anything, you're just finally seeing a Rangers team that's able to handle adversity more, right? You think about that Blues game, it was back and forth. The Rangers did not have the lead that entire game, and they were able to overcome that and eventually win. You even think about how tight of a game it was against the Avalanche. I mean, those are games that a lot of the times, especially where the Rangers are getting every shot imaginable on goal, because Georgiev really faced a lot of shots in that matchup. That felt almost like a trap game for the Rangers facing an Avs team that was really injured. That basically was an AHL team in a lot of ways. Those are games where you wouldn't have been too surprised if the Rangers lost, just because we've seen that stereotype not go their way so many times. They end up prevailing and still winning in overtime, shootout rather. And then the latest game against the Devils.
Yeah.
So I think the adversity thing is definitely key. And hopefully
Mhm.
this is something that they can continue to build off of.
Yeah, I'll give Gallant credit for one thing, though. When Trouba had a really bad start to the game, where he essentially was the reason we gave up those first two goals,
Yes.
he swapped him and Schneider.
Yep.
I'll give him credit for that one. That was a good move.
And those are things that we need to see more of. You know what I mean? Like it's always frustrating as a fan when you see these things transpire, and damn well that you're like, yes, you're a fan, so you don't know everything that goes into it, but you're still very adamant about saying that, okay, if we just make this one line change, this one pivot, this one move, holding players more accountable, we're going to see better results. It's great that Gallant is now doing this. It would have been nice if he did this a lot earlier to start the season, especially with Jacob Trouba, who's been anything but a productive captain when it comes to performance on the ice so far this season. Nothing personal against Trouba, but I mean, good gracious, how many times has he been an issue defensively for this team to start the year? I mean, I can count more on my hands.
Which brings up a question. Is there a captaincy curse in New York with the Rangers?
I mean, I wouldn't say that, because Callahan was a phenomenal player for what he was.
Oh, is there a captaincy curse for defensemen? Let's
defenseman. Right? I mean,
Trouba, McDonough.
I mean, Mac wasn't nearly this bad up until his trade. So I don't know.
But it's like the moment they put on the C, their performance just went down. There's no curse. We're just talking nonsense. But it's an interesting topic, at least, to bring up. Look, Trouba needs to be better, and I love that he was held accountable for his mistakes, because a player making $8 million and captaining the team is not always held accountable like that. So I'm happy to see that.
Oh, as am I. And again, hopefully this is something that will continue for them going forward. And where we look at where the Rangers currently stand, again, I know it doesn't mean too much, but everyone always checks them. I know I'm not the
I think they're currently in the first wild card spot. I think
they're
3 points behind the Penguins, but the Penguins have a game in hand. So we're not terrible.
No, we're above mediocre as things stand right now, which is great to see. And again, it'll always crack me up how both the Rangers and the Knicks have had such similar trends this year too. It just still
It's not
baffles
just
my
this
mind.
year; it's like through history. Like 1994, they both went to the final, for instance.
I know, but unfortunately, the Knicks can get it done that year.
When was the last? Did the Knicks ever win an NBA championship?
Yes, but it's been a long time.
Was it like 70s?
Wow, when was the last time the Knicks won specifically?
I'm
Look
gonna
it up. Look it up. Did they win with They've had to have won with Clyde, right?
1970 and 1973.
Yeah, it's been a long time. You think
Wow.
you think Rangers fans have been through a lot? Knicks fans say, "Hold my beer." Literally, holy shit. Granted, I know us Ranger fans. I mean, I wasn't even alive. They've only won one championship in the past 80 years?
The only people that have success at Madison Square Garden are the artists, because even they get banners going up now.
Yeah. Well, that happened with what's his face? Harry Styles, because he performed like I believe it was at least 2 weeks straight at the Garden.
Is he the guy from One Direction?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, he legit performed every night for like 2+ weeks straight at MSG, which has never been done before. So that's what warranted him getting a banner, which I will say is insane to think about. Like, how do you even do that? But it is a little frustrating still to see Harry Styles' banner there and not more championships. Like, come on. Oh God. Yeah. Oh,
Oh well. Anyway, yeah. Look, the Rangers have a 4-game winning streak. Their next game is against the Maple Leafs. Is it tomorrow? Yeah.
I know it's the day at
Thursday.
Thursday, yeah.
Yeah. And then a road trip against the Flyers, Blackhawks, and Penguins. Aside from the Penguins, I think all three of those are winnable games. The Maple Leafs, if you contain Marner, they don't scare me.
Okay, let's do this, given the fact that we really don't have much more to harp on here. Besides, I want to hear your prospect updates for sure. Why don't we just do our predictions now and hope that they stay true, that we record when it's in line? Because we haven't even been able to properly do that yet for this season. So yeah, make sure you got your paper ready. You went first last time. I don't know who was closer though.
What was the date we last recorded? Do you remember?
November 23rd, I want to say.
November 23rd. Okay. Well, in that case, so that's 11 goals then. And I had 10. So that means that I win. Woohoo.
Okay, so you can go first then.
So I'll go first.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess let's just do it for the next 4 games with the assumption we don't record until Wednesday or Thursday of next week.
Okay.
And Argentina just scored again, so there's that.
Well,
for FIFA.
At least FIFA is getting what they want. Let's put it that way. If people want to talk about rigged, this World Cup is rigged.
I know.
So 4 games. Let's go with 2-1-1, and 4 games. I'll go with 13 goals.
You're going with 13 goals?
Yeah.
Okay. So for me, you said 2-1-1. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to go with 3-1. And for never mind. And for goals, 2, 4, 6, 8. I'm going to go with the under.
Okay, I'll write down 12 then.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also going to write down the date in case we
mess this up.
Lose track again.
Yeah.
All right, great. It's on my monitor.
Awesome. Okay. Well, before we wrap things up, what's the latest prospect updates you got for us, Steven? Anything good
Uh,
since last time we spoke?
yeah, World Juniors coming up.
When
So
exactly is that starting?
first game starts on the 26th.
Okay,
So
so right after Christmas. Gotcha.
Boxing Day or whatever they call it in different countries. In the Netherlands, we call it Second Christmas Day because we don't have the creativity to think of a better name. But the 26th of December is, I think, the first game. The final is on January 5th, which is Brennan Othman's birthday. So we might see a birthday gift for him in the form of a medal. He was announced for Team Canada, I think, yesterday. They announced their roster for the tournament. Another one who is confirmed to go is Jaroslav Kmelars for the Czech Republic or Czechia. Adam Sikora for Slovakia. And then there's
Do you know how his season has been by chance? Sikora?
Well, he leads all teenagers in points. He actually leads all players younger than 21 in points in his league.
Okay.
You have to understand that he's playing in a professional league. It's the Slovak.
It's like Heedle all over again.
Yeah, so you're not going to see him put up a point per game, but considering his age, he's doing really well. He only turned 18 in September. But Adam Sikora is going to play for Slovakia. And then there's Noah Laba, who's currently with the U.S. training camp for World Juniors. They still have some cuts to make, so he's not confirmed yet, but he has a chance to make the team as well. If he does make the team, that would give us 4 players in the World Juniors. Not as much as we had in previous years, but still fun to watch 4 different countries and have something to look for. One other update about Adam Sikora. This was reported last week. He actually got into an altercation in a floorball game in Slovakia.
Define altercation.
Well, he was tackled late in the game, and he confronted the player, got in his face, and then that started a scrum. And his teammate Andre Molnar, who's draft eligible next summer, grabbed someone by the throat, and he was charged with assault. So,
holy shit!
And funny story, Andre Molnar announced today that after the World Juniors, he's going to Canada to play for the Erie, or not Canada, to play for the Erie Otters in the Ontario Hockey League. They're one of the 3 American teams in the OHL.
Wow. Okay.
So
it's very interesting.
It's like someone on Twitter said he got in one little fight and his mom got scared.
Yeah. You know what that reminds me of? Another player, what was it, 2 drafts ago that went from, I believe it was Czech to, I want to say the OHL.
Jan Mysak, who was drafted by the Canadiens.
Correct. Yep. Glad I totally forgot his name, so I'm glad he said that. I wonder how his progression's doing too, because I have not heard about him in a while.
He's in the AHL. I think he's doing decently.
Yeah, he was known for being a solid goal scorer, but had playmaking concerns when he was drafted.
Yeah, played in the World Juniors last August, actually, if I remember correctly. So yeah, we have a couple of players playing in the World Juniors. Other than that, no real updates. Brett Berard is doing well in college, as can be expected. Bryce McConnell Barker is probably the guy that stands out the most in terms of exceeding expectations for the Sioux Greyhounds in the OHL. And Ryder Korzak was sent back to juniors by the Rangers. He started the season with the Hartford Wolfpack, but was sent back to the Moose Jaw Warriors in the WHL.
Okay.
So
gotcha. One last thing that I want us to make note of before we wrap up this one is episode 69 and the jersey history of 69 in the AHL. Obviously, so many players have worn the number, and obviously I'm also joking. So, Steven, what is the history of the number 69? Because has a Ranger ever worn it, or is it just AHL?
I looked through Traverse City tournament rosters going back 50 years. I've looked through prospect development camp rosters going back 10 years, and I couldn't find a player that wore number 69. Not in preseason, not in development camp, not in Traverse City. So, to my knowledge, no Ranger has ever worn number 69. But we did have the emergency backup goalie a couple of years ago. who had number 69. I forget his name.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
He had like Mac backup on his jersey, but I cannot remember his name. Anyway,
Yeah.
no Ranger has ever worn number 69, but there have been 2 players in the NHL that have worn it in official games. Mel Engelstad for the Washington Capitals in 03-04, played 2 games. And Andrew Desjardins for the San Jose Sharks, and that was in 2010.
Desjardins wore it. I did not know that. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
He used it for, I think, 2 seasons. Played for the Chicago Blackhawks later on.
Yep.
Oh, by the way, I got the name of the backup goalie. Let me find it here. Where's his name? Andrew Margolin.
Interesting.
Andrew Margolin.
Never heard the name in my life until now, but he's a beauty. I remember when that happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mick Backup. That's hilarious.
So no player has ever worn number 69. So we'll have some former Rangers with the next number when we record again for number 70.
Beautiful. Okay. Well, I think that's a perfect way to cap things off. Just wanted to have a nice, short, and sweet episode here for Rangers Review, episode 69. Our goal is to hopefully be back 4 games from now for the Rangers. As we said, they have an interesting schedule. Again, there will be home from Toronto this Thursday, the 15th, then at Philly, which I would actually love to go to that game, but I don't think it's feasible for this weekend because I really would like to go to Philly. Not for the sake of being around Flyers fans, but Wells Fargo is like a solid, hour and a half.
You just love hanging out in Philly.
No, I don't. I will give them credit for this though, especially for any type of Philly fan. It has to be awesome how centered all their stadiums are because it's in one big parking lot. So in the days that there are multiple teams playing at once, like the Eagles were playing at once, the Eagles were playing when the Phillies were in the World Series, but the Eagles were away for that game, I think. But like just whenever there's more than one sporting event happening, it's insane. Obviously, if you're not a Philly fan, you tend to hate it. But at the same time, again, it's a great atmosphere and it's a nice, comfortable area. It's like right when you first enter Philly, so you don't deal with any nonsense. And you just have all the stadiums from Wells Fargo to Citizens Bank Park to Lincoln Financial. It's all right there. So I will say it is fun.
I've actually been to Wells Fargo once for a preseason game 3 years ago.
Yeah.
It was this weird biblical plague of bugs that was all over the pavement, like the lantern flies, the Asian lantern flies. So that's what I remember from my visit to Philly.
You're talking about why am I the lantern flies, exactly. Yeah. That was like at the peak of their swarm, was it not?
Yeah. It was, like I said, it was almost biblical. And the other thing I remember from Wells Fargo is the crab fries, which are delicious.
You know what? I have a very hot take with the crab fries. I don't love them nearly as much as everyone else. So I think it's one of those things, especially if you're more of an outsider, you only get them once in a blue moon.
It's okay. You're allowed to be wrong.
My best friend Jonah is an absolute whore for the crab fries. He loves those things. And him and I always have a butting of heads with opinions on food and things of that nature. But yeah, anytime, especially when we go to, if we go to Wells Fargo Citizens Bank Park, he wants the crab. Like I took him for a Phillies Mets game during the summer. And of course it was his birthday. So he's a Phillies fan. I'm like, I'll gift you. We'll go to a Phillies Mets game. Mets, of course, won, so it was more of a birthday gift for me than it was him. But at least he got his crab fries, so he was happy about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, all right.
By the way, speaking of birthday gifts, I have I've consumed one of the Dogfish Head bottles that you gave me.
How was it? Were they good?
Oh, no, it's nice. It's you only drink one. If you drink more than one, you're going crazy.
They make you want to pucker your lips as soon as you taste them. They're strong.
I think they're like 18%, but it's like the beer that I just use for like special occasions. I'll probably have one on New Year's Eve.
Yeah, that'd be a good time to have one.
Yeah.
Two, and you're you're not waking up for work the next day.
No. So all right. hopefully we can record within the next 3 weeks and not wait this long again.
Yes. Seriously.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Ideally before Christmas, because I am flying to Sweden to attend Lundqvist retirement night.
Yeah, and that's awesome. Very excited for you. That should be phenomenal.
So yeah, hopefully I get to enjoy that and bring back some nice souvenirs. So
beautiful. Yeah, well, the goal is to, again, be back here a week or so from now. So, guys, everyone that are watching on YouTube, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Thank you guys all so much. For wherever you get your podcast, make sure to rate, review, all that fun stuff. For Rangers Review, myself, check me out again on Twitter at WardyNYM. And, of course, if you're a New York Mets fan, make sure to check out my YouTube channel at WardyNYM, covering all the latest for the Metropolitans. And Statboy Steven at Statboy_Steven on Twitter, breaking down all the latest on not only prospect reports, but just sharing raw thoughts on the New York Rangers every single day. Thank you guys all so much for watching and listening once more. As always, Steven, let's go Rangers.
Let's go Rangers.